Over the past 2 weeks, I have had the pleasure of testing FreshReviews' first collaboration with an IEM company, the Ziigaat x FreshReviews Arete. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Linsol and FreshReviews for sending these over. I've been a huge fan of his channel for a long time, so now to receive a unit to test for myself is just insane. So thank y'all so much. Let's jump right into the details. The Arete is a 4 balanced armature, 1 dynamic driver IEM. The balanced armatures come from Knowles, which is a very well-respected and well-known manufacturer, and it comes in this beautiful black shell with a gray and kind of metallic orange, pink, purple faceplate. These are really, really gorgeous. It features a 2-pin connector, and this brings me to the first positive about this IEM, is the shell design. These are just so well thought out. It is a large enough shell with an ergonomic design to sit in your ear, but not so large that it feels like it's gonna pop out, kind of like the Orchestra Lites. And the nozzle is much smaller than most IEMs I've tested, which means with tips, you can get it to fit most ears, even people with really small ears. I had no problems finding a fit that worked for me, and these are some of the most comfortable IEMs I've ever tested. Another thing that makes them insanely comfortable, especially over the Orchestra Lites, is that they're vented. The Orchestra Lites are a solid chunk of resin. These are made of resin as well, but on the back, you can see they have a little vent port. This allows the dynamic driver, which is like a speaker, to breathe because it does need to push air. And by proxy, it also lets your ear breathe. So the shape and the venting means I've worn these for hours on end in my appointments, on stream, recording videos, and I have never once felt any kind of discomfort from these. The Orchestra Lites, on the other hand, after some time, that ear pressure can bother me. If my allergies are flaring up, that ear pressure bothers me. And the shape of the Orchestra Lites compared to the Aretes is just way chunkier, and it's not going to fit everybody's ear. Now let's get straight into the part that everybody's probably curious about, the sound. These sound fantastic. These really, truly sound great. The first thing that stands out to me, and it's advertised on the page, is the bass. It has so much bass punch without ever rising to the muddiness of something like a quartet, which I have tested in the past. It has this warm, thick bass that on music just kind of fills like your head, kind of like listening to bass in a car with a subwoofer. And like I said, it never gets muddy. And in game, the bass is just so helpful for hearing texture of things. I can kind of tell the hollowness of footsteps in Call of Duty a little bit better because the bass is just so much richer and more detailed. The target tuning of the Aretes is actually very close to the Harman target, which is what I'd go for when I'm doing that auto EQ step in Hisuivi in the Warzone tune. So since these are new and they don't have an EQ, these are a perfect baseline. And in fact, they take that area of kill streaks, the upper highs, and they kind of duck them. So the Aretes have the shine taken off a little bit of the really, really harsh sounds. And for long periods of play, that tuning really helped avoid ear fatigue. Probably one of the most important parts of a headset is imaging, or its ability to tell left and right, but also its ability to define a center point. And for me, that is great on the Orchestra Lites. Being able to say, oh, that sounds there, turn around and flick in game and feel confident that I'm flicking on that audio cue. The Orchestra Lites do that really well, and I'm pleased to say that the Aretes keep right up, maybe even do it better. I feel like I'm very able to tell when they transition from left and right, the sound cues, and then especially when they end up in the center. And it's because the next point, which is soundstage. The coupling of its imaging ability and just how spacious the Aretes sound. When I tried these for about a week straight and went back to the Orchestra Lites, it sounded like somebody took what was once an orchestra in an orchestra arrangement and collapsed them into a bookcase. Because I can't begin to tell you just how much space there is in the Aretes, and that really, really helped in game. Moments with the Orchestra Lites where I felt like I couldn't really tell where someone was coming from. I heard it, and I heard it before everybody else, but I had absolutely no context information there. I think the Aretes, with their bass response, with their imaging, and with that really 3D sounding soundstage, really do a good job of helping you pinpoint where someone is. Now, you'd say, oh, Art, why don't you just get a headset? For me, the big headset, I'm pretty hard of hearing. I find myself listening in the distance for sounds. And I don't have time for that in the quick TTK games of today. So I've got to make quicker decisions, and the in-ears with that kind of in-your-head sound feels much more important and immediate to me. The Aretes take that immediate sound and kind of spread it out a little bit. I really hope I'm doing a good job of describing it, but that cramped, crowded feeling you get from a lot of IEMs, especially the Orchestra Lites, is absolutely gone with the Aretes. It really does feel like there is space. If I'm listening to old corridos, which is something that I do have in my playlist to kind of tell if it can tell place, because those old songs will place instruments in the mix and you can kind of hear them move around. It is so apparent on the Aretes. Another thing that kind of plays hand in hand with that imaging and that sound stage is the detail retrieval. I feel like compared to the Orchestra Lites, I gave up maybe 10 to 15% detail retrieval and traded it for better imaging left and right and better soundstage. I feel like the Aretes took some of that detail juice and gave it to me in the form of spatial information. And in my opinion, in Battle Royale games, especially like Call of Duty Warzone, it is vital to have a little bit of spatial information. You get a lot of that from those pro audio level mastering headphones that were never meant to be used to play games. But these Aretes kind of give me the best combination. And with that being said, they are gonna be my new top dog pick. The comfort's better. The detail retrieval is pretty much there, the resolution's there, the imaging and soundstage are way better than Orchestra Lites, the fit is better. I never thought I'd find an IEM that I switched to that would dethrone the Orchestra Lites at the same price point. I thought I was gonna be playing on something at the $300 or $400, $500 level. I gave away my $500 set to a friend. I am now going to main the Aretes. They are my top dog pick, and the best news is they are the same price as the Orchestra Lites, $250. Now, that's not to say everything's all great with the Aretes. There are some problems, but they're very minimal. The stock cable, meh. It's okay at best. But most of you that watch the channel at this point, I hope, will have already invested in a nicer, thicker, softer cable, so that's not going to be a problem. The other thing I didn't really like were the tips that came stock with the Aretes. They were kind of light and flimsy, and because of that, they never really made a seal. And if you're new to IEMs and you don't know, the seal they make in your ear is most important. You don't get the sound response you need, the bass response. It doesn't sound right unless it's making an earplug seal in your ear. So it took me a little while to find the tips that I like. I find these Tangzu ones that came with the Fudu's really nice. I'll link those down in the description below, as well as the cable that I recommend. I use my own custom one from Heart Audio Cables. Shout out them, they're great. They didn't sponsor this, I just really like their work. Now, a lot of you watching probably have already bought IEMs on my recommendation, and I thank you guys for supporting. If you already own the Orchestra Lites, do I think you should run out and get these and absolutely just switch up? No, not necessarily. It's a maybe 5 or 10% difference. I do think they sound better in terms of spaciousness, and I do think they sound on par, if maybe slightly worse in terms of detail reproduction. There's certain things that I could hear in music that I couldn't quite make out on the Aretes, but it was very, very small stuff. So they're both great IEMs. I will say the Aretes are way, 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 way more comfortable, and based upon the build style, they will fit way more people's ears. One more quick note, these are only available through Linsole, and they do say that they are on pre-order, but they are actively shipping. I checked with Fresh Reviews and people in my chat that have purchased these because they've already been in my chat and they've heard what I'm testing. I'm live a lot, twitch.tv/art_is_war. These are shipping, so if you buy them through the Linsole link linked in the description, you support me, you support the channel, you support Fresh Reviews, and they will ship. I'll also be live the next couple weeks testing a top secret controller. I'm really excited about that video for you guys. I also have 2 new picks for the lower level budget IEMs that I'm going to be testing and making videos on that were also sent to me, and they are fantastic. So make sure you like and subscribe, click the bell so you know when I upload another one, and until the next video, I'll catch y'all later. Peace.